with holistic. I told you my dad thought Monsanto was like Satan itself. But what were the things that we did? Well, a lot of it was homeopathy. And I remember as a little kid, my mom would hand me these little sugar pills, and I'm thinking, what the heck are these? It tastes like sugar. I don't know what this does. I certainly know that I still do it when I, had my ski accident. I immediately grab some homeopathy. The first thing I do is take some arnica. In fact, I think a lot of us are grabbing those little, like whether it's an allergy we have, but what are we actually doing? Does it actually work? What is the science? Well, if you were to watch the news, they want to tell you the science isn't there at all. This is what it looks like when they talk about it.
Homeopathy is an alternative medical practice with roots dating back to the 1700s.
A very contentious form of alternative medicine practiced by millions all over the world.
It's endorsed by royalty and the stars, and 500 million people worldwide claim to use it.
Homeopathic medicines are based on a few theories of disease distinct from conventional medicine, the most famous being like cures like.
So in the U.S., the National Institute of Health says that there is little evidence to support homeopathy as an effective treatment for any specific condition.
Several key concepts of homeopathy are inconsistent with fundamental concepts of chemistry and physics.
Consumers cannot assume homeopathic health claims are scientifically proven. Currently, there are no FDA-approved homeopathic drugs in the United States.
Now, the FDA planning to crack down on the safety of many homeopathic products, a $3 billion industry that's never been regulated.
They think they're taking an active ingredient that is going to benefit them, and that's where the scam is. That's where the snake oil part of this is.
Every time you see Paul Offit on the news, just know that it is pharmaceutical speaking to you. And oh my God, they're under attack. $300 million by an industry that wants to own you, control you, and funded the pandemic that locked us all in our homes. Anyway, homeopathy, I've been on different sides of the map. I've said I've always taken it just because it seemed like it was there. But you know what really blew my mind? What blew my mind is as I was traveling with Vax and I've done all of this work, how many parents of autistic children have said to me, you know what, the most powerful thing we did was homeopathy. It brought back our child's speech, or they started walking again. I mean, I've heard incredible testimonies from parents that have tried everything else. So is it placebo effect? It didn't work on all the other things they did, but it's something I don't fully understand. And in our, sort of stretching our wings and trying to say, let's not just talk about the problem. There may be some solutions you're not aware of. This is a conversation we want to have, and there happens to be a new documentary out all about it. Take a look at this.
I was diagnosed with a mesenteric mass,
and thyroid condition,
diffuse arthritis,
endometriosis,
depression,
and the autism, strep throat,
bladder disease.
They told me I was dying.
Every year, medicines correctly prescribed encompasses thousands and thousands of deaths.
The doctor, she said, we can give you opioids, but we're going to have you join a support group for the addiction that you're going to develop.
I thought he was going to die.
They couldn't figure out what was wrong.
And they just blew the pain off as like, oh, it's just period pain. That's kind of just what women have to deal with.
Homeopathy.
Apathy.
Homeo. I have never heard of it.
Holistic medicine.
Like natural medicine.
I came upon homeopathy, and over a year period of time, I became symptom-free.
Homeopathy has really helped her female reproductive system. She's actually pregnant right now with a baby on the way.
It saved my life.
It gives us hope.
Homeopathy was attracting the most well-known, well-respected literary greats, corporate leaders, and educated.
The important part is, does the stuff work?
Many people think it's quack medicine. This widespread idea that homeopathy is just a sugar pill and has to be placebo.
It seems to be the general view homeopathy is impossible because it's just water.
There is strong research evidence demonstrating it works, and yet nobody will believe it.
I wasn't really sure. I was skeptic. When I went to the doctor, he said to me, "Well, what are you taking? What are you doing? You're way, way better."
homeopathy will effectively restore health rather than simply put a Band-Aid on their symptoms.
It is tremendously successful in treating animals.
The homeopathic medicines really improve the quality of the crops, and in the future we could see homeopathy instead of toxic pesticides.
A clinical effect of homeopathy that is more than just placebo.
This is the medicine of the future. This is the medicine we've all been waiting for.
This is 21st century medicine.
Well, it's actually World Homeopathy Awareness Week. I'm here with the founder today of World Homeopathy Awareness Week and one of the experts in that film, Gabrielle Traub. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Del. It's a pleasure to be here.
So we haven't done this, I don't think. We haven't really, in the, nearly 10 years we've been at it, we haven't really gotten into homeopathy, even though it's something that comes up a lot in my conversation. So for someone that is like those people in the, man on the street interviews in that film that don't know what is homeopathy? How was it developed? How does it work?
So homeopathy was developed 250 years ago by a Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. He was actually become very disillusioned with medicine at the time. At the time, they were giving people high doses of mercury. They were leeching people. It was barbaric. Yeah. And he wanted to find a gentler path. He really believed that there was a way to heal people that was more gentle. And he actually came across a transcript. Now, Hahnemann was actually versed in many different languages, and he was translating some medical journals. And he came across an article that had talked about treatment of malaria with cinchona, which is Peruvian bark. And Dr. Hahnemann found this very interesting because he knew that cinchona actually caused malarial-like symptoms. So he thought, how could it be that a substance that causes certain symptoms actually is curative for those very symptoms and when they're sick? And so he started to see this pattern happening emerging in medicine quite often. In fact, Hippocrates was the first a person who identified this, that there was the law of opposites and the law of similars. And homeopathy is the law of similars. The word homeopathic means actually homeopathos, which means similar suffering, and comes from the Latin term similia similibus curante, which means like cures like. And I want to give you an example because that's how we learn is through examples. For example, if somebody is having a lot of excitement and difficulty sleeping and restless and palpitations, and they just are struggling to get their brains to turn off, we may choose to give them the homeopathic remedy made from coffee called Coffea cruda, which actually mirrors what the vital force, the immune system, is doing and helps to mitigate it. So in homeopathy, we have many, many different homeopathic medicines, and it's very important that it is individualized. Treatment is very specific. It has to be individualized for that patient, not just on their physical symptoms, but on their physical, mental, and emotional. It really is the whole body approach. And in homeopathy, we try to, many of our homeopathic medicines are actually made from poisons in their natural form. And so what Hahnemann did through many, many experiments, he found that there's a way to retain the healing properties of the medicine while reducing the toxicity. And we call this method potentization. And so the remedies go through a sequence of serial dilutions, and in each step of dilution, the molecules are succussed, they're rigorously beaten. And this helps to not only decrease the toxic effects, they also increase the potency of the remedies. So homeopathic medicines actually have the best safety record. They're extremely safe, and the research shows this because they are so dilute. Now, what's very, very interesting is that we are now starting to do research on the hormetic effect. The hormetic effect shows that certain substances in different doses, like if you give a high dose of something versus a dilute dose, we see opposite effects. And this is very well researched. And even for something like exercise, if you do the Goldilocks zone, you want the right amount of exercise. If you do too much, it's actually harmful for you. What homeopathy does is it takes us one step further. It's not just the dilution, It's also the state of the person.
When you're saying dilution, I mean, we're talking like 1/10,000th, where they just keep adding gallon. Like I've seen, where they're pounding these giant, jugs of, I guess, water, and just like diluting it, and they add that to another. Like they spread that over 10 bottles. In fact, and I've seen giant, programs where they couldn't afford a vaccine program or drugs in different countries, but they could ramp this up. They've just got all these people pounding these drugs because they could get it out quickly, cheaply, and it's been effective in India and Cuba and other places like that.
Exactly. You're referring to the leptospirosis in Cuba. This was one of the largest homeopathic studies done on 2.3 million people, done by the Cuban government. And it actually showed that in incidences where they gave the homeopathic treatment, it decreased incidence of leptospirosis by 84%.
Wow.
And what's really exciting is it seems like that reduction is long-lasting. Yes, we may need to repeat the program, but rates in the areas that were treated have continued to be decreased with leptospirosis.